Carlos Santiago, Dom's older brother and Marcus's best friend ever since childhood. But what happened to him during the Pendulum Wars, and how does that tie into Marcus and Dom's backstory in eday? Well, as always, I'm your host Abz, and it's time to discuss the lore behind Carlos Santiago and his backstory, which I believe will hopefully be showcased in Gears of War eday. Now, since the game's protagonists are Marcus and Dom, and their backstory involves Dom's older brother Carlos, therefore the battle that should take place in a possible Pendulum Wars prologue in the game has to be the Battle of Asphalt Fields, as it is also the battle where Carlos meets his demise. Now, as you may recall, a section of the Battle of Asphalt Fields featured in the Gears of War 4 prologue, but this was part of Operation Leveler, where Major Hoffman was ordered by his superiors to lead a small commando team, which included Dom Santiago, as well as a Pesanga volunteer team, into Asphalt Point. This was because the COG learnt that the UIR were ahead in the orbital weapons race, and they needed to raid and capture key scientists that could create the Hammer of Dawn technology. Hoffman was then ordered to kill the remaining scientists. Marcus and Carlos were present during Operation Leveler as well, but they were set up behind a machine gun position. But because it was a commando operation, no one heard anything from Asphalt Point, which made Carlos worried, but Marcus reassured him that everything would be okay. Later during the battle, Carlos was firing at Indies towards the bridge, while Marcus hijacked a UIR ASP. This was an anti-air tank, and he decimated many Indie forces. But once the job was done, Marcus finally got out of the ASP, but Carlos alerted Marcus and Bernie that he had been badly hit and he couldn't move. Marcus was shocked and annoyed with him that he didn't tell them sooner and that he didn't trust Marcus to kill the Indies by himself. Marcus started to make his way towards Carlos, but Carlos told them to stop. He said that he messed up and got other gears killed as well. He told Marcus that he needed to take care of Dom, but Carlos got hit again by Indie fire and begged Marcus to shoot him and put him out of his misery. But Marcus just wanted to save him. Carlos told him it was too late and that he had to save himself. He detonated a grenade, killing himself and destroying the bridge that the Indie vehicles needed to cross in order to get to the extraction point. Now Marcus, he was in utter shock and grief. He was in disbelief. He couldn't believe it, but he took advantage of the explosion to rush to the site and recovered anything he could of Carlos's remains. Marcus and Bernie then basically took Carlos's remains to the extraction zone, and Marcus kneeled down next to the sack containing his remains as they awaited for a Sea Raven to extract them to the CNV Pomeroy. The COG Navy's Sea Raven was basically like a King Raven, except it was wider and could land in water, and it also could hold a Marlin attack boat. Anyway, Bernie told Marcus that she learned that Dom made it, saving the lives of the rest of his unit in the process, with Marcus reiterating how Dom was a natural gear. Bernie offered to tell Dom about Carlos, but Marcus said that it was his job, and that he was an honorary Santiago. Marcus sobbed and cried silently, while Bernie comforted him, saying that Carlos was like a brother to him, and he didn't know what he was going to do without him. But Bernie reassured him that he did the right thing, that he did everything he could. The truth of Carlos making a mistake and getting himself and others killed would have devastated Dom, so they both decided to lie, saying that he and the others sacrificed themselves to blow up the bridge and stop the Indies. And there would be no one in the unit who would contradict it as well, and control was shut off at the time. The Sea Ravens arrived and picked them up, and they then arrived on the Pomeroy. Dom was waiting for them while Marcus saw that he was disturbed when Carlos didn't emerge. Marcus went up to him and tearfully informed him that Carlos had died. 5 weeks later, Marcus was promoted to Sergeant and was at the award ceremony at the House of Sovereigns, where him and Dom were both presented with Embry Stars for their actions. Carlos and Anya's mother, Helena Stroud, were awarded ones as well, with Dom accepting Carlos's and Anya accepting her mother's, since both had died during the battle. Marcus and the others went outside to the graveyard where Carlos was buried and found Hoffman there, paying his respects. Marcus didn't say anything, but Dom invited his commanding officer to dinner that evening, with him, the Santiagos, and Adam Fenix, but Hoffman refused. He shook both of their hands and then left. Marcus dug a small hole into the grave and placed Carlos's Embry Star in there with him and buried it while crying. Hoffman watched on from a distance, and seeing Marcus like that made an impression on him. Marcus and Dom both said their goodbyes to their brother Carlos, brothers to the end. But that, my friends, is the backstory behind Carlos Santiago and his lore, so hopefully we get to see this play out in the Pendulum Wars prologue, to set up the foundation of Marcus and Dom's brotherhood in Gears of War eday, as Carlos plays a huge part to their backstory, so hopefully we see a prologue, showcasing these events, and then later seeing Carlos heavily mentioned throughout the game, as his legacy would live on through Marcus and Dom. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to drop a like, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And a big special thank you to the YouTube and Patreon members for your additional support as always. I'm your host Abz, and I will catch you guys next time.